Gentlemen, listen closely. In a world where strength is often confused with silence, and loyalty is mistaken for weakness, let me tell you something very clearly: your peace, your dignity, your purpose, are not negotiable. There are certain words a woman can say, certain actions she can take, that should be your instant signal to get up, walk away, and never look back. Why? Because the moment you allow disrespect, manipulation, or emotional chaos into your life, you've already lost the battle for self-respect. This isn't about hating women. This isn't about being bitter. It's about being aware. About recognizing red flags before they become chains. It's about refusing to play the fool in a game that only ends with you questioning your worth. So, if she ever says or does any of the following things, you don't argue. You don't beg. You don't stay to fix it. You walk. And you do it with your head held high. Point 1. If she mocks your dreams or belittles your goals, leave. A woman who can't respect your ambition will never respect your mission. And if she can't support your purpose, she'll distract you from your destiny. Point 2. If she constantly tests your limits with disrespect, walk. Disrespect disguised as jokes, sarcasm, or just being real is emotional erosion. Every dig chips away at your value until you start to question yourself. Point 3. If she uses intimacy as a weapon, run. Love is not currency to be traded. Affection should never be conditional. If she withholds affection to control you, that's not love, that's manipulation. Point 4. If she's never wrong and always the victim, don't stay. A woman who refuses accountability will always blame you. She'll rewrite reality until your confidence is bleeding on the floor. Point 5. If she's still obsessed with her ex or constantly compares you, you're not her man, you're her rebound. You are not a placeholder for someone else's memory. You deserve to be someone's choice, not their therapy. Point 6. If she tells you a real man would, while disrespecting your boundaries, walk away now. A real man doesn't let someone define his manhood through manipulation. A real man knows when to leave what no longer honors him. Don't waste years trying to prove your worth to someone who's already decided to devalue it. You are not obligated to stay where you're not respected. You're not weak for walking away. You're strong enough to say, this is not for me. Because real strength is not in how much pain you can tolerate. It's in how quickly you recognize what's toxic and refuse to tolerate it. Let her go. Let her learn. Let her regret. But you? You move forward. You build. You grow. You rise. When a woman disrespects your ambition, it's not just a casual slight, it's a direct attack on the very core of your identity as a man. Your ambition isn't just about money, titles, or status. It's the fire in your soul. It's your reason for waking up early, staying up late, grinding in silence while the world sleeps. It's your mission. And a man without a mission is a man without direction. So when the woman by your side mocks that fire, when she laughs at your goals, questions your plans, or subtly implies you're dreaming too big, she's not only doubting your vision, she's doubting your potential. And that can be deadly to your growth. At first, it might come in small doses. A sarcastic comment when you talk about starting your business. An eye roll when you mention taking a risk for something that matters deeply to you. Maybe she tells you to be more realistic, to settle down, or to stop chasing things that may never happen. But over time, that doubt becomes a poison. You start to second-guess yourself. You hesitate. You shrink. Because if the person closest to you doesn't believe in your vision, how can you continue to believe in it fully yourself? A supportive partner uplifts you, challenges you in a way that strengthens you, not in a way that tears you down. A woman who loves you will ask hard questions, yes, but she won't mock your mission. She won't shame your hunger. She won't undermine your passion. But when a woman belittles your drive, it's a sign she doesn't see you as a man capable of greatness. Maybe she feels threatened by your potential. Maybe she fears you'll outgrow her. Or maybe she simply doesn't have the capacity to walk beside someone who's chosen the harder path. Whatever the reason, the outcome is the same, she becomes an anchor instead of a wing. You have to understand something, your ambition is sacred. It's what separates you from the masses. The world is full of men who've traded their dreams for comfort, for approval, for a relationship that cost them their edge. Don't be that man. Don't sacrifice your purpose for temporary validation. If a woman can't respect your grind, she doesn't deserve the rewards it brings. She doesn't get to ride the wave of your success if she disrespected the struggle that built it. And if she can't see the man you're becoming, if she only sees the obstacles and never the possibility, then you owe it to yourself to walk away. Because the woman who truly loves you won't just accept your ambition, she'll be inspired by it. She'll push you when you're tired. She'll remind you of who you are when the world doubts you. She'll add fuel to your fire, not water to your flame. So when a woman mocks your ambition, recognize it for what it is, a red flag waving right in your face. You don't argue. You don't explain. You simply keep walking, toward the life you were born to build. Consistent disrespect is not a personality quirk. It's not something you should just get used to or excuse as her being moody, emotional, or just joking. When a woman consistently disrespects you, you are not in love. You are in a situation where your self-worth is being slowly drained, day by day, word by word. Disrespect doesn't always come in loud, obvious forms. Sometimes it's quiet. Subtle. It hides behind sarcasm, behind dismissive looks, behind the tone in her voice when she talks to you like you're beneath her. But whether it's loud or quiet, repeated disrespect is a form of emotional abuse. A relationship is supposed to be a place of mutual respect and emotional safety. It's where your masculinity should be affirmed, not ridiculed. It's where your effort should be acknowledged, not mocked. But when you're with a woman who constantly puts you down, talks over you, criticizes you in front of others, or makes you feel small when you're just trying to express yourself, that's not love. That's control. That's a power game. And you are the one paying the price every time you stay silent about it. The truth is, a woman who respects you won't play with your dignity. She won't use your insecurities as ammunition. She won't make jokes at your expense in front of her friends and then tell you to lighten up when you react. When someone genuinely loves you, they're careful with your emotions, not because you're fragile, but because they value who you are. Disrespect is the opposite of that. It's carelessness, it's emotional laziness, and at its worst, it's an intentional strategy to break you down so you'll accept less and question yourself more. Men are often told to be tough, to not let things get to them. But there's a difference between being strong and being numb. Numbness to mistreatment isn't strength, it's a symptom of emotional conditioning. When you let disrespect become normal, you teach yourself to ignore pain that should be a warning. You dull the alarm bells that are supposed to tell you, this is not love. This is not right. This is not for you. It's easy to stay and justify it. Maybe she's been through trauma. Maybe she says she loves you afterward. Maybe she's beautiful and you've invested too much time. But nothing, nothing, justifies staying where you are not valued. No amount of history or chemistry is worth the damage done by constant disrespect. And the longer you tolerate it, the harder it becomes to remember who you were before you started accepting less than you deserve. A man who values himself walks away when he is disrespected consistently. Not because he's weak, but because he refuses to be reshaped by someone who's trying to break his spirit. Love doesn't leave you questioning your worth. Love doesn't humiliate you, ignore your voice, or make you feel like a burden for having feelings. If you're not being respected, you're not being loved, you're being used. And no real man should ever accept that. Weaponizing intimacy is one of the most subtle and dangerous forms of emotional manipulation. It's not always obvious at first. It may start as a quiet shift, a sudden coldness, a withdrawn touch, or a delayed response. But make no mistake, when a woman begins to use physical affection, emotional closeness, or even sexual access as a tool to control you, punish you, or force compliance, that is manipulation dressed up as love. And it cuts deeper than most forms of mistreatment because it hits you in the place you are most vulnerable, your desire for connection. True intimacy is about trust, safety, and mutual giving. It's not meant to be a currency. It's not something that's handed out when you behave and withheld when you disappoint. But some women, whether knowingly or out of emotional immaturity, learn to use it as leverage. They realize how much it matters to you, how much you crave it, and then they start using that against you. They pull back affection until you apologize, even when you did nothing wrong. They withhold physical closeness to make a point, to exert control, or to keep you in a constant state of tension and pursuit. And when you comply, when you bend, beg, or submit just to feel close to her again, you reinforce her power over you. This is not how love operates. Love doesn't make you feel like you have to earn basic emotional or physical affection. Love doesn't punish you with silence or distance. Manipulation, on the other hand, thrives on keeping you off balance. It wants you second-guessing everything, wondering what you did wrong, trying to decode her mood, walking on eggshells to avoid another cold night or an icy stare. Over time, this can drain your confidence and sense of self. You begin to associate closeness with compliance, and rejection with failure. That's not a relationship. That's control masquerading as romance. And let's be clear, weaponized intimacy isn't just about sex. It's also about emotional availability. One moment she's open, warm, and engaging. The next, she's distant, cold, and uninterested. If every argument ends with her withdrawing affection or shutting down emotionally until you give in, that's not conflict resolution, that's coercion. And it's just as damaging as any other form of emotional abuse. Many men stay in these dynamics because they're emotionally invested or they believe this is just how relationships work. But a relationship that keeps you starving for basic affection while demanding loyalty is not a relationship worth holding on to. The longer you stay, the more you'll normalize being controlled by someone else's whims and moods. You'll begin to think that peace only comes through submission. But peace that's bought with your dignity is not peace, it's surrender. You deserve intimacy that's given freely, not strategically. You deserve closeness that isn't conditional. You deserve a woman who loves you, not one who uses love as a weapon. Because the moment she turns affection into manipulation, the relationship stops being about connection, and starts being about control. A victimhood mindset in a woman is not just a red flag, it's a warning signal that emotional maturity is missing. When someone constantly positions themselves as the victim in every situation, what they're really doing is avoiding responsibility. They refuse to own their mistakes, to face their flaws, or to grow from hard truths. Everything becomes someone else's fault, usually yours. You end up carrying the emotional weight of the relationship while she escapes accountability by hiding behind guilt, blame, and emotional manipulation. At first, it might sound like she's just been through a lot. She might share her past with sadness, paint exes as villains, and tell stories where she was always mistreated. And you may feel sympathy. You may want to be the man who finally treats her right. But if every story is about how someone else wronged her and never once about how she may have contributed to the situation, understand this, you are not hearing truth, you are hearing a pattern. And that pattern will soon include you. A woman with a victimhood mindset will turn every disagreement into a personal attack. If you express a boundary, she'll say you're being mean. If you ask for change, she'll say you're controlling. If you point out something she did wrong, she'll find a way to flip it back on you. Suddenly, you're the problem. You're the reason she's upset, the reason she's distant, the reason she's not being herself. Over time, this dynamic erodes your confidence and traps you in a cycle of trying to fix problems you didn't cause. You walk on eggshells, trying not to hurt her, trying to avoid the emotional breakdown that follows every confrontation. What makes this even more toxic is that it can be incredibly deceptive. A woman with a victim mindset isn't always loud or aggressive. Sometimes she plays the role of the misunderstood, gentle soul. But don't mistake softness for innocence. Just because someone cries or shuts down emotionally doesn't mean they're right. Emotional immaturity shows up in how someone handles pressure, accountability, and conflict, not how vulnerable they appear in the moment. You'll notice that with her, problems never get resolved, they get buried under emotional explosions or silent treatments. She doesn't grow, she repeats. She doesn't learn, she blames. She doesn't say, "You're right, I need to work on that." Instead, she says, "You just don't understand me," or "I guess I'm always the bad guy." These aren't expressions of hurt, they're shields against growth. Being with someone who lives in perpetual victimhood means you'll always be the villain in their story. No matter how much you love, how much you give, or how patient you are, it will never be enough. Because what she wants isn't resolution, it's validation without accountability. You cannot build a future with someone who refuses to own their past. And you cannot grow beside someone who sees personal responsibility as an attack. A woman stuck in a victimhood mindset will keep both of you stuck in emotional quicksand, blaming the world while never taking a step toward real maturity. When a woman is constantly living in the past, bringing up her ex, revisiting old wounds, or comparing you to what she once had, it's a sign that she's not emotionally present in the relationship. It means her heart is still entangled in memories, unresolved pain, or nostalgia for something that no longer exists. And when that's the case, you're not her partner, you're her distraction. You're not her future, you're the emotional bandage she's using to cover wounds that never fully healed. That doesn't make you a bad person or her a villain. But it does mean you're a placeholder, not her priority. You can feel it in the way she talks. Maybe it's subtle, an occasional mention of what he used to do or how they used to be. Or maybe it's overt, frequent comparisons, stories that center around her past relationship, or lingering bitterness that keeps spilling into your conversations. Either way, the message is the same, she hasn't moved on. And if she hasn't moved on, she can't truly move forward with you. Her body might be with you, but her mind is still in another chapter, and her heart hasn't let go of a man who's no longer in her life. This kind of emotional baggage doesn't just weigh her down, it weighs you down too. Because you're constantly walking in someone else's shadow. You're trying to build something new with someone who keeps looking backward. It can make you feel like no matter what you do, you'll never be enough. You're not fighting for her love. You're fighting her memory. And you will lose that battle every time, not because you're lacking, but because you're not supposed to be a replacement. You're supposed to be someone she chooses freely, fully, and without the ghosts of her past sitting at the table between you. Sometimes, you'll see it in the way she holds back. She might say she's not ready to trust, not ready to commit, or not sure if she wants anything serious. She might still be in contact with her ex, still stalking his social media, or still holding on to old pictures and messages. You think with time she'll let go. You think if you just love her harder, she'll forget him. But that's not your burden to carry. Healing is a personal responsibility. And no amount of effort on your part can force someone to do the inner work they're avoiding. If she hasn't made peace with her past, she can't give you peace in the present. You'll always feel like you're trying to win a race she never asked you to enter. You'll be pouring into someone who's emotionally unavailable, not because she doesn't care, but because her heart's still locked in yesterday. And if her heart is still there, you'll never get all of her today, let alone tomorrow. You deserve a woman who sees you for who you are, not for how well you fit into the mold of someone she lost. You deserve presence, not nostalgia. A woman who's still living in the past isn't ready for the future, and certainly not ready for you. When a woman starts her sentence with "a real man would," she's not offering guidance, she's drawing a line in the sand to control, shame, or manipulate your behavior. It sounds like a challenge, but it's actually a disguised form of coercion. It's not about encouraging you to be better, it's about getting you to do what she wants, when she wants it, under the threat that your masculinity will be questioned if you don't. This phrase has been weaponized in countless relationships to push men into abandoning their boundaries, suppressing their feelings, and sacrificing their standards. At first, it may come off as harmless. She might say, "A real man would never let his woman pay for dinner," or "A real man would fight for me no matter what." On the surface, it sounds like she's just expressing what she values. But over time, this phrase becomes less about values and more about manipulation. It becomes a tactic to guilt you into compliance. It forces you to perform rather than to lead with authenticity. And when you start living according to someone else's definition of manhood, you stop being yourself, and start being their puppet. This kind of emotional leverage plays on the deepest insecurities men often carry. Society already puts immense pressure on you to be strong, stoic, responsible, and unbreakable. When a woman adds to that by questioning your worth based on whether or not you obey her desires, she's not uplifting you, she's controlling you. A real man would, becomes a leash wrapped in guilt and tied to your identity. And the more you chase her approval, the less respect she actually has for you. Why? Because respect isn't earned through submission. It's earned through self-respect, integrity, and unwavering values. What's even more toxic is that this phrase creates a moving target. One day, a real man is someone who texts her back immediately. The next day, a real man is someone who gives her space. One day it's emotional vulnerability, the next, it's emotional toughness. You're constantly adjusting, chasing, trying to meet a standard that shifts depending on her mood, insecurity, or need for control. And when you inevitably fail to meet these impossible and ever-changing demands, she doesn't engage in healthy communication, she attacks your identity as a man. That's not love. That's psychological warfare dressed up as romantic expectations. A healthy relationship is built on mutual understanding, not manipulation through identity shaming. A real partnership empowers both people to grow and express their needs without ultimatums disguised as moral judgments. A woman who constantly uses a real man would, is not looking for a partner, she's looking for a servant, a puppet, a predictable outcome to satisfy her emotional whims. True masculinity isn't about meeting someone else's ever-changing list. It's about standing firm in who you are, protecting your peace, setting boundaries, and walking away from dynamics that erode your dignity. If someone needs to question your manhood to get what they really want is control, not connection. So hear this loud and clear, your peace, your purpose, your power are not up for negotiation. The moment a woman starts disrespecting your ambition, manipulating your emotions, playing the victim to avoid accountability, or dragging the weight of her past into your present, that's your cue. That's your sign. You don't argue. You don't try to fix her. You walk. You are not here to be someone's emotional punching bag, personal therapist, or rebound fantasy. You're not here to prove your worth to a woman who questions it every time you assert your standards. You're here to build a life of value, strength, vision, and that requires a partner who lifts, not one who leeches. You cannot become the man you were meant to be by staying where you're disrespected. You don't rise by tolerating chaos dressed up as love. You rise by protecting your energy and surrounding yourself with people who recognize your worth without needing to be reminded. So when you see the signs, the disrespect, the manipulation, the guilt-tripping, the emotional immaturity, don't pause, don't rationalize, don't hope she'll change. Walk away. Immediately. Because a man who knows his value never begs to be treated right. Stand tall. Walk strong. And never apologize for demanding peace in your life.